Do you find it hard when you're on a diet like Autoimmune Paleo or Whole30 or even Paleo or just any diet that's like not the normal one to stick to it or to just really find yourself wanting to do it? If so, today we're going to talk about some tactics that you can use to help yourself accomplish your goal. So over the summer, I read this book, Gretchen Rubin's The Four Tendencies, and I found it fascinating because it kind of groups people into 4 different categories based on your personality type and how you approach both inside and outside tasks, requests, all of those kind of things. So in this book, she kind of categorizes people into the 4 different things are upholder, questioner, obliger, and rebel. And I will link below to the actual quiz that she has, which is fascinating to take because you'll find out what you are on a much more detailed level. But the general idea is that an upholder is someone that can easily fulfill any tasks that have been given to them from somebody outside of themselves, as well as any task or commitments that they have made for themselves. So like a New Year's resolution, for example, if you're an upholder, you have no problem following through with those. And if somebody gives you a task to do or asks you to do something, no problem. You just go and you do it, and you don't even have to like think about it. You don't have to have anybody like holding you accountable. You just do it. And then there are the questioners, who are people that will easily do commitments and tasks for both people outside of themselves and for themselves if they have been answered a bunch of questions about the particular thing. Like if they have questions, they won't do it. But once their questions have been answered, they have no problem doing this. And then there are obligers who are great at doing something if somebody else has asked them to do it. Any commitment somebody else has done, got it. But if there are any commitments or tasks or anything that you have decided for yourselves, no way. Like New Year's resolutions, gone the next day, right? That would be an obliger. And then there are rebels. And rebels are people that just are gonna do whatever they feel like, no matter what. Like whether if somebody asks them to do it or whether they have tried to do it themselves, they just, whatever. It's whatever the air is like that day or anything like that. I kind of am jealous of you guys. So when we put these in terms of trying to stick to a diet like AIP, Whole30, or Paleo, it really kind of makes sense why you may find yourself not sticking to it or being really kind of rigid about it based on your personality type. So let's go through it for all 4 of the personality types and how it relates to these diets. So with upholders, I consider myself to be an upholder, and upholders are kind of rare, by the way. We easily make a commitment to ourselves and just follow through. So like I say, I'm gonna do AIP, it's no brainer for me. I'm gonna do AIP, I don't think about it. Our problem though is that we may tend to take on too much. And so we do have to watch that, and our stress levels may increase in relation to how much we take on. So that is one thing we really have to be cognizant of to make sure that we're not hurting ourselves even further by taking on too much or being too rigid with how we approach a diet. Because I don't really want to go to food disorders, but I would think upholders probably would be more susceptible to food disorders just because we are kind of neurotic about getting things done and doing it correctly. So these are just kind of things that we have to watch out as upholders to make sure that we're going to get stuff done. But we do not typically have to worry about making sure that we're going to complete something because that's just in our nature. We just love it. We love rules. We love to do things that we have set forth for ourselves. Now, questioners, on the other hand, you will easily complete something that you've been given, but you have to have some questions answered for yourselves. So if you find yourself kind of resisting doing a restrictive diet, even though you kind of know that you should, maybe it's because you have some questions. So sit down and think of the particular questions that you may be kind of blocking yourself with and go ahead and get those answered. Having those questions answered may just open up a floodgate for you, and then you'll be able to accomplish anything that you want. Obligers, again, are people who are great at holding commitments to other people, but not to yourself. So if you are one of those people that want to do AIP, say, but you know that you're just not gonna be able to commit to that because you just never seem to follow through with anything, find someone that's gonna hold you accountable. So say you set up with someone like a spouse, a relative, a friend, or a health coach, certain check-in points where you're gonna say, yes, I did this, I did this, I did this. And so you'll have some outside source hold you accountable, so that way it's not just on you, because it's your personality type. It's not you. It's not like there's anything wrong with you. It's just, that's your personality type. And obligers are a very large portion of the population. So you're not alone. You can also find another accountability partner that is like you, that is also an obliger, so that both of you have to say, okay, we're gonna do this, and if you don't do it, then I'm not gonna do it. So, it's like one of those things, it's peer pressure almost, but it's gonna really help you follow through. And as an obliger, maybe if you don't have someone that you can talk to or have hold you accountable, you can hold yourself accountable by making sure that you're doing something for someone else. So let me give you an example. So say you have an autoimmune disease and your brother has an autoimmune disease as well, and you know that he's really not doing anything to help it, and there are ways that you guys can both do it, but he's not going to do anything until he sees results from somebody else. Like, he has to be convinced. So you can go ahead and do the diet with the idea in mind that you are kind of like mentoring and being that person for him to make him change, not for yourself, but for him. And maybe that will help you as well. Kind of get creative with the tactics that you use to make sure you have outer accountability. And you'll find that, like, you might be surprised by how much you can follow through with things when you do that. All right, and then you rebels. Being an upholder, you're kind of the exact opposite of me. But again, I'm kind of jealous of you because sometimes being an upholder is a little too rigid and confining. So I kind of am jealous of your free spirit. However, my son is what I suspect to be a rebel. And so the things that we've learned, and from this book, is that you need to have information, consequences, and a choice. And then having these three things will help you kind of stick to something. I don't want to like tell you you're going to stick to something because then you're just going to go and rebel. But so let me give you the example with my son. So my son will rebel against everything. So the way that we've gotten him to do anything these days is say he won't get out of bed. I say, hey, if you don't get out of bed, then you're not going to have breakfast. And then you're going to be hungry until lunch. And then you're going to be all sad and you're just going to, not be happy for the rest of the day. And it's sad, but it's your choice. So you see how I said, if you don't get up, you're not going to have breakfast and you'll be hungry and sad. But it's your choice. And I've noticed using this kind of pattern has really helped. And he's started to make his choice. And sometimes it's what we want, and sometimes it's not. But at least if I give him this pattern, we have a lot more success than if I just say, get up, we got to go have breakfast now. That does not work for him. So if you're a rebel, having information about what maybe like you're trying to do this because you have autoimmune disease and you are, suffering from symptoms. So you have this. And if you do not do autoimmune paleo or Whole30 or paleo or whatever it is that you choose to do, you're going to continue feeling these symptoms and you're going to continue feeling bad and you're not going to have the quality of life that you had before, and you're not going to be able to play with your kids or your friends or like any of these things. Whatever works for you, figure out the consequences of why or what's going to happen if you continue to go down the path that you've been going. And then it's your choice. Do you want to continue doing that or do you not? If you put it in an overall kind of look like that, instead of just like, I have to do AIP, then maybe it will help you a little bit more. One tip that Gretchen also mentions in this book from one of the rebels that she spoke with was that the person ate a piece of chocolate in the first thing in the morning because then he ate the bad thing in the morning and then felt like, hey, I can do whatever I want, and then felt free from having to rebel for the rest of the day. So that could be another tactic for you. Just like get kind of your rebellion out, but try to do it in like a compliant way for whatever diet you're doing. Maybe if you're doing AIP, maybe have like a dessert, something or muffin or something that I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, don't have waffles in the morning, okay? And if you're doing paleo, maybe have a piece of chocolate in the morning, like the example. And if you're doing Whole30, maybe have dinner for breakfast and breakfast for dinner. Ooh. That actually sounds fun. So I hope these tips help you just in general. Like, I recommend reading this book if you want, but you don't have to by any means. It's a really good insight into how to deal with people of different personality types, especially if you have kids or are working in a healthcare capacity or are a boss or manager or anything like that. Like, it's really good for understanding how all these different personality types work together and how to deal with all of them. So I hope that helps to teach you what to do for yourself. Let me know in the comments if it did or not. And don't forget, you can get access to my Paleo freebie library with all kinds of stuff in it. I will put the link below. And remember to like this video and subscribe if you want to see more. I will see you guys on Tuesday.